Hi, I'm Andrea Rose. I'm coming at you from Bodhi Seed Yoga Studio and recording on the vernal equinox, or the first day of spring, which is my favorite season. Spring is a time of transformation, change, growth, energy building, and obviously in the collective and probably as individuals right now, we're experiencing a lot of those themes, a lot of transformation. And even the way that we are sharing our practice together now is transforming. So it's an honor to be here on this day, serving in this way. And I invite you to just take this time to start to settle in. If you're at home and you have a wall, I encourage you to maybe start at the wall, just to add another layer of support and grounding. So you have the mat or the ground beneath you. You also have that wall to support the spine. And just choose any easy seat. I'm just gonna sit or start kneeling, but you can take a cross-leg seat. You can sit on blankets. Anything goes, really. It's your practice. And once you start to settle in, I invite you to close your eyes and actually involve the hands, bringing the hands to your core. So maybe one on the heart, one on the belly. And in this way, we can tangibly connect with the breath and take comfort in that which is consistent right now. The fact that we have these human forms, we have inhales, we have that pause, we have that release on the exhale. This inner rhythm that you can count on if you just take the time to drop in. Something else that's consistent right now is kind of what's happening in nature. As we move into spring, the birds are singing more. You'll probably notice more robins out and about looking for worms, or just different birds being more vocal. You'll see them in higher numbers. You'll see plant life beginning to transform as well. You'll see insects flying and moving about. So maybe just take some comfort in knowing that those natural cycles and rhythms are still present, still something that we can observe and use to ground us in. So settling in a little deeper, just like dipping our toes in the water of tranquil, just peace. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in a mudra, which is basically like yoga for your hands. The mudra I've chosen to work with this month is Lotus Mudra. Again, the lotus is another symbol of moving through transformation and also blooming through difficult times. So bring your hands to your heart. Then you can open up the middle 3 fingers, keeping the thumbs and pinkies still touching, so you have this flower shape at your heart. And go ahead and think about what it is you're hoping for, what it is you're maybe seeking. Whatever your intentions, wishes, blessings in your heart might be, go ahead and set them at the core of this flower shape. And imagine that this mudra, this flower, is giving your intentions everything they need to bloom. I'm just trusting that things are already moving in the way they're meant to. We'll go ahead and take this lotus flower, and then next time you inhale, just start to let your arms lift up above the head. Holding that flower above the crown of your head, letting it shine, letting it bloom. And then the next time you exhale, just release the mudra, release the hands down, and just begin to let go and surrender. All right, so we'll maybe go ahead, flutter open the eyelids. If you're at a wall, you can actually stay against the wall for the next few poses, but I'm gonna invite us to move into a yogic squat. So we're all gonna look a little different in this pose. Some people might feel most centered with the heels lifting off the floor. Others might have the whole foot grounded down. You're going to want your toes and your knees to be pointing kind of in the same direction. And then if you have a block, you can, since we'll be holding this for a little while, you can take some pressure off of you by just sitting on a block, take some of the weight out of the pose. Even if you don't have a block, maybe you can find something like a book or a couple books to stack and use that. So just take a moment to get yourself settled in, and then we'll go ahead and hold this squat for about maybe a minute and a half. So as we're holding, whether you're supported by the wall, a block, or whatever variation you've chosen, we'll go ahead and come back to those tools to ground us. So maybe hands on your core, tuning back into the breath. Feeling whatever is coming up. If it's discomfort, if it's a challenge, just see that as fertile soil for transformation and growth. Growing is usually not easy, but it takes us to beautiful new places. Feel free to readjust as you hold the pose. Maybe you want to add a little more intensity or less. So you can always shift as we hold, just readjusting to what your body needs in the moment, and then coming back to your center. Let's just take a collective 3 more breaths here. And by collective, it doesn't necessarily mean the same pace, but we're just moving through 3 breaths together. And then when you're done with your 3 breaths, we'll just go ahead. If you're at the wall, maybe scooch off of it for a moment just to reset, bringing the feet out in front of you and just taking like these windshield wiper movements, rocking the knees from side to side. All right, so now we're going to take a second pose, and once again, we can definitely use the wall to support your back if you have it, if you want it. I'm just going to show you this pose from the side because there's a couple different options. So you can either just basically sit on your heels, just working on alignment and breath. If you need a little boost, you can slide a block if you have it, or blanket just above the heels to give you a little support. If you want a little more, you can turn this into more of like a hero pose, separating the ankles a little wider and sitting down in between them. And similarly, you could use a little boost underneath the seat with that hero variation. So this is the one I'm going to settle on, just using the block and kind of sitting between my feet. And then once again, I'm just going to come back to having the hands back on the belly and chest to feel that rhythm, that inner tide moving in and out. And I think we'll stay in this one for about a minute, but let's try not to get too caught up on the time and just come back to the timelessness that we can find in the present moment. Take just a couple more deep breaths here. Maybe you take a moment to focus on kind of the energy locks, so lifting up the pelvic floor, a slight tucking in of the belly, and a slight tucking down of the chin toward the chest. See if that makes you feel like you have any more lift, any more support and strength. Beautiful. Now we'll go ahead and reset from this, coming again away from the wall if you're at it, and you can just do a little yoga clap, tapping the tops of your feet down into the mat, resetting. So from here, once again, you can use a wall, but I'm just going to show you it without a wall. So we're going to come down onto the belly. So if you're doing this at the wall, you're going to have your shins pressing up against the wall. If not, we're just kind of hovering the feet like this, and we're going to take like a Sphinx pose, aligning your elbows under your shoulders, spreading the fingers nice and wide, keeping that tucking down of the chin, and gazing just past the nose and past the fingers. We'll hold this one for about a minute. You can kind of press into all 10 fingerprints. Just focusing on your breath and that nice bending of the spine. For some of you that know you can go a little further in this, you can actually work to straighten your hands, straighten your arms, spreading the hands a little farther apart. But just be mindful of where your edge might be today. Don't place any undue stress on the body, although we are looking for some good opening. Just take a couple more breaths here. And then we'll make a little pillow with the hands, giving the shoulders a little break, windshield wipering the feet from side to side, resetting once again. All right. So I'm gonna do one more kind of slower pose, and then we'll start to move a bit more. But it's gonna be a butterfly pose. Now, as with all the poses so far, if you'd like to do this against a wall, you're just going to basically scoot your hips all the way up against the wall, lie down, and do this butterfly with legs up the wall. But I'm going to do it sitting up. So I'm just going to bring the bottoms of my feet together, lift the heart up, and simply just rest. Now, if you're doing this sitting upright and you'd like to take a forward fold, you can do that, but I invite you to hold off on that for a moment. Just feel the pose upright before you fold. Take that pause, taking the time we need to settle in. And then if you would like to deepen this pose and you're doing this sitting up, as in not against the wall, you can start to walk your hands forward and just begin to hinge from the hips, reaching the heart forward. You can think of the butterfly as another beautiful symbol of transformation. I don't know if the butterfly, or I don't know if the caterpillar knows what it will soon become. Or maybe it's a surprise every time. But in observing it, we know how wonderful that transformation is. going to take about another half a minute in this pose. Notice if anything that maybe felt tense or tight at first starts to give a little bit, starts to soften. If it doesn't, that's okay. Just notice what you notice, whatever that might be, and then come back to that consistency of the breath. All right, we'll start to come out of this. If you're at the wall, go ahead and come off the wall, and we will meet in table pose and just start to move through some cat-cows. So take your time to align wrists under shoulders, knees under hips, and we're gonna involve our toes with these cat-cows. So curling the toes under as you round your spine up, tuck the chin down for cat. Pressing through all 10 fingerprints again, and then pressing the tops of the feet down into the mat, letting the belly drop, the heart lift for a cow. And let's try to make these nice and slow, arcing and dipping with the breath, like slow waves. You might start ujjayi breathing as well. We're adding that restriction to the back of the throat, breathing in and out the nose, furthering that ocean sound. Feel free to add any circular movements, or maybe some deeper movements like going into a cobra pose as your back bend, and then a child's pose. And just take a couple more rounds, however it is you're moving. And then we're going to make our way into our first downward facing dog. Just making sure this is secure. So let's go ahead and actually take a little pause in plank first, just to bring in some heat, some energy, strong breath. And then from there, you can send your hips up and back to downward facing dog. Let the heart melt down. Maybe pedal out the knees or dip the hips down from side to side. And then we'll start to walk the feet, maybe take the long way, crisscrossing the feet in front of each other, till you get all the way into a forward fold. Bend your knees as much as you need to, just to achieve that release. And nice and slowly, we'll start to rise. Reaching the arms up overhead, take a little back bend at the top, and then exhale, hands to heart. So we're just gonna do a couple rounds of sun breath, which is just a way to get the energy building, and it's easy. It's just kind of a circular movement that helps you connect movement with breath. Hands at the heart to start. Take a moment to just find your center in your feet. And we'll inhale, arms up overhead, reaching, and then exhaling to forward fold. Inhale, sliding it up halfway for length. Exhale to fold. Inhale to rise, reach the arms up. Exhale, hands to heart, and that is it. So we'll just keep moving in this way. Just a couple more rounds. Let's do 2 more. You can think of it as a dance somewhat. So just making the movements fluid, transitioning gracefully. And we'll go ahead and call this our last one. We'll meet with hands at the heart. Now we're going to go ahead and take a sun salutation variation that may or may not be the kind you're used to, but it is a version of Sun A. So I will walk you through it. Starting in mountain, inhaling arms up overhead, and we'll take Kali Mudra at the top, which is basically interlacing all fingers except thumbs and pointer. So with this little laser pointer, we're taking a little back bend at the top and then exhaling hands to heart. Inhale Kali Mudra again, and this time we'll exhale to fold. Good. Plant your hands, step your left foot back, and you'll find a runner's lunge. Just take a moment to feel it out. Then stepping right foot back to plank. From plank, just as we did before, lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Now from here it goes knees, chest, chin. So it's basically how it sounds. You tap your knees down, the feet are going to lift up. You tap your chest down, elbows pointing back, and then tap the chin down, which I'm not going to do because of the microphone, but you get the gist. And then slither forward into your cobra pose, or maybe you lift your knees off the mat for up dog. Then curl the toes under for downward facing dog. This one, hold a couple breaths. So we already lunged on the right side, we'll be lunging on the left. Step the left foot forward, runner's lunge. Step the right foot to meet it, forward fold. Inhale, rise, arms all the way up overhead. Find Kali Mudra at the top. Exhale, hands to heart. So let's take that again. Inhale, Kali Mudra. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, Kali Mudra. Exhale, fold. Plant the hands, step the left foot back. We'll keep that same structure, so starting with the right side runner's lunge. Then find plank. And downward dog. Then we have that knees, chest, chin move. Knees tap down first, then the chest, then the chin. Slide it forward, cobra or up dog. Awesome. Exhale, downward facing dog. Walk it out if you need to. Sigh it out. And then we'll be stepping left foot forward, runner's lunge. Step right foot forward to meet it. Forward fold. Inhale, rise, Kali Mudra. Exhale, hands to heart. Let's take one more of those. Inhale, rise. Exhale, fold. Step left foot back, runner's lunge. Step right foot back. We're going to hold this plank a couple extra breaths. You got this. Use your breath. Strong core here. Steady gaze. And then send the hips up and back. Good job, downward facing dog. Knees, chest, chin. Cobra. Downward facing dog. Step left foot through, runner's lunge. Right foot, forward fold. Inhale, rise, Kali Mudra. Exhale, hands to heart. Beautiful. Just take a pause here. Come back to your center, however you do that best, whether it's through a little bit of free movement or maybe total stillness. I'm going to lead us through one more flow today. So let's get back down to downward facing dog. Let's lift the arms up overhead, exhale, forward fold, step the feet back, send the hips up and back for our downward dog. We're gonna take three-leg dog on the right side. Now you can always drop down to your knees and do these crunches from table, but I'm gonna show you from down dog. Lift the right leg up, three-leg dog, toes point down, crunch right knee toward right elbow. Three-leg dog is next. Sorry, skipped ahead. Hold this crunch. Then three-leg dog. Now we're gonna crunch right knee to left elbow. Good, three-legged dog. Finally crunching toward the middle, hold, squeeze, breathe. And then go ahead, step your right foot between the hands, drop the back knee down. We're gonna work with a lunge for a couple breaths here. So first, take your hands to the top of that right thigh. Maybe you extend this back leg a little further back if you can. Inhale, lift the arms up. Exhale, cactus arms, squeezing the elbows down. Good, and then next time you exhale, plant the hands down to your mat. Now we're gonna walk the right foot outside of both hands, like a baby dragon. Take right hand to right knee and just turn, gazing back toward your right shoulder. Some of you might actually lift the arm up or take a bind around the low back. Those are just options. One more breath cycle here. So listening carefully, we're gonna make our way toward the back of the mat, but we're gonna walk our way through it with a forward fold, a wide-legged forward fold. Curl the back toes under. Start to walk your hands to the center of the mat. Inhale, halfway lifting for length, and then exhale, fold. Take a pause there. And then continue walking toward the back of the mat. So we're now lunging into the left knee. We're gonna do something called a horizon lunge. So we're actually dropping the right leg down and kind of rolling open onto the outside of the right thigh and right foot, lifting the left arm up, and take a couple circles. Just moving the arm nice and big circles here. The gaze can follow. Do one more. And now we're gonna come to seated into like a shoelace pose. So basically our left knee is stacked over the right knee. We're trying to open our feet out a bit. Sitting up nice and tall. And we're gonna take eagle arms with this. If eagle arms is too much, I'm just gonna throw this out there. You could basically just stretch your left arm across your chest and hold it like that. You're still pulling open this left shoulder. If you're taking eagle arms, we're gonna take the left forearm just kind of right in front of us. Elbow is bending. You take the right arm and bring it underneath so elbows are kind of stacked. And then you either have the backs of the hands touching, or maybe you can even get the palms to touch. Then we'll inhale, spread our wings, spread our shoulder blades, lift the hands up and away from the heart. And then exhale to take a bow. Moving with your own breath, inhale, lift. Exhale, bow. Beautiful. One more. Let's lift together and bow to one another. And then reach it up and release. So now we're going to be heading back toward the back of the mat, curling your right toes under once again, And now we're set up to take our 3-leg dog crunches on the left side, so send that left leg up. Exhale, crunch left to left elbow. Inhale, 3-leg dog. Exhale, crunch left to right. Inhale, 3-leg dog. Exhale, crunch to the middle and hold. You got this. Now go ahead, step the left foot between the hands again. And we're gonna come down on the right knee, come up to the left thigh. Hands are just resting on that left thigh. We'll inhale the arms all the way up overhead. Maybe you can add that little back bend. Exhale, squeeze cactus arms. Hold here. And then the next time you exhale, plant the hands down. Walk the left foot out a little wider for our baby dragon twist. You're just gonna rest your left hand on that left knee and turn toward the back. Again, options with the arms. The left arm can go up or take that low back bind. One more cycle of breath here. And then we need to walk back into our wide-legged forward fold. So come back to center, walk the hands all the way through, and just start to fold. Inhale, halfway lifting. Exhale, come deeper. Relax your neck. And now we get to walk back toward the front of the mat. So walk the hands back toward the right leg. Horizon lunge, this time on the right knee. So you're dropping the left leg down and kind of rolling open onto the outside of it. Right arm lifts up, and we can take those few circles with the breath. Nice, beautiful sunshine circles. Let's do one more cycle of breath, one more circle. And exhale it down. Let's come to seated in that shoelace pose. It's a hip opener here. Sitting up nice and tall. And then either that modified, just holding the right arm across the chest, or let's think this time, I believe right arm comes in front first, left arm underneath it for eagle arms, taking a bind with the backs of the hands or the palms. Inhale, lift, spread your wings, and we'll take 3 bows with the breath. Bowing within, bowing without, bowing as one, and then we release. All right, so now we just plant the hands back to the front of the mat, come back to maybe just a brief 3-leg dog to reset, back to down dog, and what the heck, let's take one vinyasa to finish it out. Come to plank pose with the elbows pointing behind you. Lower down to the bottom of a push-up. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale into either down dog or child's pose. And then we'll go ahead over the next couple of breaths. Take your time. We'll meet back in seated. Really starting to wind it down now. You can plant your hands, bring your feet out in front, wider than hip width apart, and just take some nice windshield wiper movements, cleansing it out. We'll turn this into a twist. You can drop your knees down to the right, lift your left arm up, and just plant the hands kind of diagonally behind you. You may stay up on your hands or walk down to the forearms and rest. Feeling the energy starting to ebb, starting to descend, starting to release. Sinking deeper into the waters of our inner being. Take just a couple more breaths. Then bring it back to center. Windshield wiper the knees, dropping them down to the left eventually. Right arm lifts to help you twist behind you. And coming down to wherever you're comfortable. Releasing a little bit more. Just a couple more breaths. And then you can start to come back to center. We'll take one more butterfly just as a reminder and a gesture of our collective transformation and the beauty that is found in the process. Maybe on this one, make it a little more self-loving by giving yourself a little foot massage, spreading your toes apart, massaging the ankles, shins, calves. Inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, release. And we'll start to come down onto your back. You can rock till you get there. Just start to move around in any way that feels good, rocking side to side, back and forth. And moving into an inversion of some kind. Maybe you just hold your legs up. Maybe you hold your arms up too in a complete gesture of just surrender. You can take happy baby, holding onto the outer edge or even the inner edge of the feet. Bringing your knees down kind of toward your armpits. Starting to settle in a little bit more. So you've done something really important by practicing today, by taking the time to just filter through everything that is outside of you and just come back to that which is consistent, that which is everlasting, that essence of who you are and who we all are. If there's any last postures or movements or adjustments you'd like to make before coming to our final rest, please do so now. Nobody's watching, I don't think, so do whatever feels good. And then for your Shavasana or your final rest, feel free to use a blanket, pillow, anything that helps you just relax and be comfortable. And I invite you to stay in this final rest for at least a couple minutes. I say at least 5 minutes if you can, just to really assure that you have that pause, that time to soak up all the benefits of your practice and continue allowing the transformation and the growth to happen in that fertile soil of peace. So now I will leave you to your rest and happy spring.